Roy with IBB.
Yeah.
I get it all right. Okay. This is Dan Meyer with RCR Wireless News at the PCIA 2013 show in Florida. I'm here with Hillol Roy, who is with IBB Consulting. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, I know you had a session earlier today looking at, I guess, the business model for Wi-Fi and basically kind of monetization of Wi-Fi. One of the things you brought up was, Wi-Fi does not necessarily have to be a strict business case where it's getting paid for, where it's basically paid for itself. I guess, what's your general view of kind of how Wi-Fi can be a successful business model for carriers, perhaps not on a traditional business model, I guess?
Sure. Yeah, so the way we talked about it and the way we view it is when you look at a carrier, there are three things they're looking for. They're looking for new revenue, they're looking for retaining their customers, they're looking for getting hold of new customers. Now, whenever we talk of monetization or business model, we always keep talking about, hey, where's the money from it?
Yeah.
But there can be benefit or more than enough money through the cost cutting that you are achieving or through the acquisition you are getting. So when we look at Wi-Fi from a carrier perspective, when you look at the carrier scenario now, pretty much all the US carriers have LTE, which are running well, but the usage is growing, and depending on whom you talk to, it's growing by like 50% or 25% per year,
Amount, yeah.
but it's growing quicker than the spectrum or the spectral efficiency.
Yeah.
So how do we solve for it? One option is, of course, when you look at the usage is not happening out in the field. It's happening in places like this, in convention centers, in malls, or in stadiums. And you don't always need a macro site to cover it. You need essentially targeted small area coverage. And the Wi-Fi access points exactly does that. They provide you a very focused coverage. So then the question comes, if it has always been doing that, why the carriers haven't been doing it on a large scale? So few things. One of the topics we talked about is what the users want is simplicity of use. They want reliability. They want security. Wi-Fi standard provides some of those, but it was a bit difficult to do it on a large scale so far. But with the next generation hotspot, all those are becoming almost like cellular. You are using cellular type security, cellular type access network discovery. So we believe that as these next generation hotspot access points get deployed, carriers will start feeling more comfortable that when their customers are on that network, they are getting equally good service as LTE or 3G. And they have a view on how well the customer is served. And when they get to that viewpoint, they can use this spectrum, which is the most expensive thing in wireless deployment. And here it's just free. Yeah. So they get to use this free spectrum to add that additional capacity, which saves them significant cost. It reduces the number of macro cells they need to have. So it gives them cost cutting. It improves the experience of the user. So it gives them better retention.
I guess the challenge then is, obviously it is free spectrum for the most part, but as more and more people start using Wi-Fi, it is, again, there's a lot of spectrum out there, but, there can be, I guess, some congestion issues in some points. I think we've all tried to get on a network at an airport, and it kind of works sometimes, doesn't work sometimes. Is that still a challenge, though, is to be able to manage that quality of service for the customer? Because, again, customers do expect a level of service. If they're paying for it, especially more, but they expect a Verizon or AT&T to provide a certain level of service that they expect. Is that a bit of a challenge on how do they meet that part of it?
Yeah, that's a great point you brought up. So one of the topic we have been talking for last few years, is it cellular or Wi-Fi? So over the last 6 months, I have seen people getting alignment. It's not cellular or Wi-Fi, it's cellular and Wi-Fi. So when you look at the total licensed spectrum in the US, like around 500 megahertz, so there is no way Wi-Fi can take all the capacity or Wi-Fi can serve all the customers who were served by that. I believe it's a good complement to it. And this next generation hotspot allows carriers to some extent to decide, hey, in this situation, in this convention center, right now Wi-Fi has a better quality, offload some of them. Or in that particular mall, our LTE network is underutilized. Let us have people use more of the LTE. So it becomes a good balancing act on where to put people so that they always have a good experience.
Gotcha. I guess maybe a final question too would be, you kind of mentioned that business model aspect of it, and the fact that carriers can use Wi-Fi, like you said, to maybe reduce churn or to increase customer satisfaction. I guess is that still kind of the challenge, though, is to kind of convince carriers that Wi-Fi can be a benefit, perhaps not just on the bottom line, but as a way to make customers more happier, and again, reducing churn is a huge impact. I mean, obviously, every time you lose a customer, it costs a lot more to get a new one. So that's a big challenge for those guys. So is that kind of, I guess, the next challenge for carriers is to, I guess, be convinced that they can use Wi-Fi as more than just an offload service, as an actual, maybe a customer experience service too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, so within the carriers, I'm sure there are quite a bit discussion going on different groups. Like certain groups are thinking about the churn reduction. There are groups who are thinking about how to optimize the revenue. So definitely there are benefits from churn reduction, from retaining the customer. Which is churn, sorry. So essentially acquiring new customers. But at the same time, there are also viewpoints that right now Wi-Fi is mostly free in the US, but it's always a best effort service. Not necessarily you are going to get the access easily, not necessarily once you are onto it, it will not be congested, or that video downstream download that you are doing will happen properly. But if there is a premium Wi-Fi with the hotspot, which is secure, which has a certain quality of service, certain decent speed, easy to get onto, then probably it's not too difficult an argument to tell customers, hey, pay a little bit extra, you get unlimited Wi-Fi in all these malls, convention centers. So that way it's a revenue stream too, on top of the other benefits.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And obviously, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of talk this morning about Wi-Fi and kind of the importance of that, and bringing that as the whole ecosystem for, as a part of the toolbox for carriers to be able to meet all the demands of consumers. So, well, great. Well, obviously, I know you guys have some more research on this on your website too. I'm sure at IBB Consulting, you can see some more of that information as well. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, good deal. Hill, I appreciate the information today. Thanks so much today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.